We begin today with the story Trump can't make go away, even while he gets in another round of golf at this very moment at his private golf course in Scotland. But the focus remains on the Donald Trump reality TV administration's latest performance. And I do highlight the term performance. That is really all we can call what played out this week in Tallahassee, Florida, over 2 days, with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche sitting down with Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell. To be clear, as NBC News notes, former prosecutors said it was highly unusual and potentially unprecedented for the department's #2 official to personally interview a witness. Add to it the fact that this #2 was and may still be acting like Trump's personal defense attorney. And this performance came with a cliffhanger. Following his first day of questioning of Maxwell, Blanche tweeted, "The Department of Justice will share additional information about what we learned at the appropriate time." Gee, I wonder when that will be, given the fact that they already closed the investigations nearly 3 weeks ago. Of course, this hasn't been an award-winning performance, maybe enough to win a Razzie, because this appears to be nothing more than, as former federal prosecutor Barrett Berger points out, a way of being able to say, look, we dotted every I and crossed every T. There's value to being able to say that we've tried to speak to everyone we possibly could, including the co-defendant. Or, as NBC News legal analyst and former Manhattan Assistant District Attorney Catherine Christian adds, just wanting to have Maxwell on the record saying, yes, President Trump had nothing to do with any of this. He was not a client. It could be that if the DOJ were serious about trying to obtain new, undisclosed information from Maxwell, they would have perhaps sent down the lead prosecutor who led the case against her. Oh, right. That prosecutor, Maureen Comey, was abruptly fired earlier this month with no explanation. Joining us now, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist and MSNBC political analyst Eugene Robinson, and former top communication advisor to speakers Paul Ryan and John Boehner, Brendan Buck, and an NBC News and MSNBC political analyst. Thank you both very much for coming back to the weekend. All right, Brendan, are we to believe Blanche's trip to Florida was a genuine fact-finding mission on behalf of the United States? Because as Deputy Attorney General, he is, for the people of the United States. And if that's the case, why didn't he take, if not the lead prosecutor, because, well, she was fired, anyone who worked on the Maxwell case with him?
Well, I think it would be a mistake to start off by saying that they have a plan with any of this. Clearly, this is an administration that is scrambling, right? No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
They have a crisis on their hands, and they're trying to figure out what to do. So it's not surprising that they turned to Blanche, who helped get Donald Trump out of jail. So they're sending him down, and they're going to figure out whatever they can. I have obviously no idea what happened down there, but I'm blown away by what seemed to be this series of mistakes politically, like saying they're going to roll out more information later. This is an issue where the president is apparently furious that it won't go away, and they keep hinting that there's more and more. And that's the whole problem with the conspiracy. People always think there's something else.
Right.
And they are doing a very poor job of putting a stake in this.
That is like the biggest own goal I have seen in a long time. Why say that? Why, so they've set up the expectation that, yet again, that files are going to be released, that names are going to come out. And so, once again, they're going to have to produce something or they'll keep scrambling.
And, to this point, I'm scrambling. I don't have it here in these notes, but there's a Don Bongino social media post from last night that's so cryptic that it, too, is going to keep this story.
Saw that. It's something like, I'll never be the same after what I've seen.
It's actually, it's even better than that. It's like, grab the popcorn, grab your blanket, because I'm about to break something, and it's a little scary, but at the same time, it's why I'm sitting in the seat. And it's interesting because it's literally, this Epstein issue is the issue that has basically created this fission between him and Bondi. And so his cryptic tweet is basically trying to say, it's like, there is more to come, and that's why I'm still here. Dun, dun, dun. So what do you mean by that?
Well, but that's these guys' sort of natural habitat, right? Feeding the beast. Like, this was all sort of a show, right? And of course, they've now caught the car, and people expect them to eventually do something. Now, I have, again, no idea what it is that they're talking about. But as long as they feel like they're actually in control of the narrative, that's good. Maybe they are now trying to figure out something that they can roll out that does deflect people and point it in a good direction for them. So maybe that's what they're working on now. But as long as they they like having people talk about them in these ways, but obviously they need to figure out what the target is here.
Eugene, Eugene, one of the things that is, all kidding aside, I think one of the challenges that we're seeing here is that if there is not an accountability from the DOJ, if it looks like they are basically an elite lawyer service and counsel for Trump, it continues to erode public trust. What do you say of that? What do you?
Well, exactly. I just don't see how this whole scenario is supposed to really instill confidence that everything is now on the up and up, right? Because you said his former personal lawyer, the number 2 person in the Justice Department, who never goes to interview convicted defendants in jail about this doesn't happen. So you make this happen, and it suggests that some sort of fix is in, right? That his mission to go down there is to get her to say, "Oh, Donald Trump had nothing to do with this," and that's the whole thing. So who's going to actually believe that? That's the question, because the people who believe in the Epstein conspiracy have not believed what the administration.
I think as Donald Trump is learning, there was a good reason to keep your DOJ at arm's length. And most presidents to date have been able to say, obviously they report to me, but they run independently.
Out of my hands.
He can no longer say that credibly at all. And all of these people have sort of been running as his own team. Eventually you have no way to sort of cleave that off and say this is not my problem, and he's running into that.
Well, he said he wanted his own Roy Cohn, in the first term. Yeah. He's got it now tenfold. So the president wants this to go away. They're trying to do all these things to deflect. Meanwhile, the Speaker of the House, who's on all sides of this issue, it's not a hoax, it's this, it's that, we're sending people out of town. He has a perfect foil. Here's who he's blaming for what's happening with Epstein politically.
We're not going to allow the Democrats to use this as a political cudgel. Remember, they had 4 years. Hold on. The Biden administration held the Epstein files for 4 years. Not a single one of these Democrats or anyone in Congress made any peep about that at all. They could have brought a discharge petition at any point in the last 4 years. They chose not to. They waited until President Trump was elected. I think that's very suspect. And I will not allow the House to be drug into political gamesmanship.
I mean, Brendan, it's a little late for that.
I think what he's getting at, and I don't disagree with him, is Democrats are having a lot of fun with this, and they have shut down basically the House of Representatives. Not just the floor, but multiple committees have been unable to function because Democrats are offering motions and they don't know what to do about them. And the fact that he's
but
right.
Aren't they getting Republicans to vote with them?
That's my point.
Okay, I'll just put that out there. Finish the thought. Finish the thought, Brendan.
No, I mean, look, the Democrats were the who offered these amendments, and the fact that Republicans are so afraid of voters they can't just vote them down or deflect to something else tells you they're in hot water back home too. And when you're in the minority in the House and you find some issue where the majority is going to eat themselves alive, you go for it. However much you actually care about the underlying documents, you're going to eat it because they can't do anything else.
Right.
But Brendan, I want to ask you, because everybody's saying that it's a joyful attack, but I think that it's the very first time that we're seeing the Republicans scared because they finally have that little incy piece of the Trump base fracturing, and we haven't seen that up to that point. So why? I mean, yes, and that's one of the reasons why the Republicans are saying, wait a second. He's basically losing them when it comes to mass deportation. He's losing them when it comes to tariffs. He's losing different sectors of the Republican Party, mostly from the moderate side and independent side. But now this issue actually gets him at the base voter. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, look, I've been trying to be very clear. I don't think Jeffrey Epstein is the top issue of Republican voters or even MAGA voters. But it is the loudest voters, the people who are talking about this on these podcasts that everybody's obsessed with all of a sudden, like, they know they need to be responsive to it. And every single one of those members, that's just as a basic political issue, when you go back to your district, you need something to be able to talk about. And every one of those members that were now sent home without any kind of vote is sort of scrambling because they have no explanation for what is they're doing to address this issue. They need cover, and Mike Johnson sent them home without any of it. So I imagine there's going to be a lot of very uncomfortable conversations back home over this.
You know, speaking of the podcast bros and other folks in MAGA world who are all a tizzy about the Epstein matter, a lot of them are starting to focus in on Ghislaine Maxwell and her role in all this. Let's listen to a montage of statements about Ghislaine Maxwell.
She knows everything. She is the Rosetta Stone. She knows everything.
She's a living piece of evidence that is able to answer the toughest questions. And if you're looking for the truth about Epstein, well, there's no better person to give it to you than the co-conspirator of the entire operation.
This is why they're going straight to the source and why this is so powerful. If anybody actually has the information of what has happened around Jeffrey Epstein, it's not going to be some James Comey created file. It is going to be Ghislaine Maxwell.
Okay, Eugene, after listening to all that, I'm so Ghislaine Maxwell is what to them? I mean,
Well,
what is she going to do?
Number one, she's a convicted felon. Okay. I mean, she was the co-conspirator. She was the procuress. She set up Jeffrey Epstein's dates with these young girls. Unclear whether she set up all of them or, but she was right in the middle of it. But what are her incentives here? Her only incentive, the only thing she can be looking for is a pardon.
Right.
She has 20 years in jail.
Commutation of her sentence, something like that.
Right.
And guess who can give her that? It would be Donald Trump. And so of course they've gone to her, and of course she's like, oh, I'm happy to talk to them. And so a lot of people suspect that there's a deal in the making.
Mm-hmm. Real fast, Brendan, what do you make of the statement from, I can't remember who it's from, I read it in the intro, where just going in and dot every I and cross every T and, make sure we get all the information?
I mean, maybe. Again, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to be able to say that they tried once again to see if they could get anything else out, and they couldn't. Or they're trying to get some statement that Donald Trump was not involved in anything, and that will be satisfying to him, and maybe he'll then have more comfort releasing additional documents. Who knows? And
to be clear, that was not the Deputy Attorney General saying that. That was I was quoting Eric Berger from one of the stories. Mr. Berger. Eugene and Brendan aren't going anywhere.